Hello and welcome to Narayana IAS Academy. In this session of the top topics of the week, we'll delve into 5 most important topics from the Hindu and the Indian Express. So let's explore each topic in depth so that you're well informed and prepared for the examination. So let's kick off with the first topic.
For discussion, Trump wants BRIC nations of 100% tariffs if they undermine the US dollars. So as you know, in this particular article, we'll be discussing about this particular grouping of BRICS as well as the concept of de-dollarization. And this becomes very, very important for both your prelims as well as the mains examination under international relations, bilateral, regional and global groupings and agreements involving India or affecting India's interest. Okay. So now let's quickly move forward. There has been a previous year question in the year 2014. Okay. So it has asked about the BRICS grouping. So you know these regional groupings become very, very important. As I told you in the initial intro section itself, that is the President-elect Mr. Donald Trump has actually warned the BRICS nations. See, if you're going to come up with any other currency that is going to undermine the value of my United States dollars, then I will actually give you a sanction of up to 100% tariffs you need to pay if you are actually trading with my country. So that is what Donald Trump had actually said. Now let us see how this becomes important for our discussion. So before getting into it, let us actually discuss what are BRICS. What is BRICS? It is an intergovernmental organization. Okay. So initially the term BRIC, B-I-R-C, that was coined back in the year 2001. Okay. So this was actually by a British economist. His name was Jim O'Neill. Okay. And here it actually stood for Brazil, Russia, India as well as China. And this got officially established during the inaugural meeting of the BRIC foreign ministers in 2006, and finally in 2010 South Africa actually joined the grouping, and this was also one of the PYQs in your prelims examination. Now if you see, this particular grouping actually constitutes around 40 to 45% of the global population. It actually constitutes around 30% of the world GDP, and if you see 25% of the world trade. Okay, so this data is very, very important. And who are the members of BRICS? Earlier it was actually 4, then it became 5 with South Africa actually joining in 2010. Now you have 9. Okay, so you have Brazil, Russia, India, China, followed by Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt as well as UAE. So you have 9 members right now. So all this is very, very important. So the leadership structure of the BRICS actually rotates yearly among the member countries following a sequence. What sequence is that? It is B. So first is BRICS, BRICS. They will actually have the presidency like that. It will rotate. So if you see in 2021, India actually had the leadership, or the it was actually chairing it. Okay. Now moving forward, de-dollarization. So why this de-dollarization is actually in the news? What is de-dollarization? That is when you think that your dependence on dollars for international trade and finances have to be reduced. That is called as de-dollarization. That is, you're wanting another currency, or you want another system in order to run your transactions, that is trade, right? So that is called as de-dollarization, and BRICS members actually they are looking for the de-dollarization in order to have an equitable global financial system. What do you mean by equitable global financial system? In the global financial system, almost 80% of the trade and its transactions are happening by the US dollars. Okay, so they actually want a de-dollarization, that is move away from the dollars. Why? One, because US dollar, since 80% of the transactions are happening, what happens? You have the US central bank, right? Like RBI is a central bank for India. We have the Fed, that is the central bank. The increase or decrease or any kind of alteration in the Fed rates, like our repo rate or like our reverse repo, etc. What happens? Any changes will actually affect the entire economy. That is the global economy. That is one of the reasons. And also the second reason is that US can actually use this dominance of dollars in order to impose sanctions specifically on countries like Russia, Iran, etc. So that is why the countries are actually aspiring to move away, okay, and get their own payment system. So de-dollarization, Russia has actually said, yeah, let's come on, let's actually get our own payment system, or let us at least come up with the BRICS currency. So that's what Russia has actually said. And China is actually coming up with a central bank digital currency or a digital yuan, okay, for cross-border trade. Similarly, if you see reactions from other countries, see, India has always maintained a very, very pragmatic stand, okay. So it has actually said that, of course, yes, we need this dollars for our economic growth and stability, but also we can focus on promoting our regional currency for bilateral trade, okay. That is what? That is, we can actually trade in rupees is what India actually says. And South Africa and other nations, specifically like Iran, they are actually saying that no, we are very, very scared of being imposed by, by sanctions by the United States. So what happens? This is actually disproportionately affecting the developing countries. So that is why they are saying no, it is better to actually have an alternate currency. So this is what the other members have actually told. Now moving forward, why is US dollar dominant in the international trade? Very, 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 very important to understand. So actually what happened is the trade, that is the transaction between two parties, okay, that is person A and person B. The transaction actually initially took place by in terms of barter system. Okay, what is barter system? I give you one good, that is I give you this pen and you give me another good, okay. So that was the barter system initially in the ancient days. This is how it actually started. Then what happens is that different empires and different countries actually came up with their metallic currency, that is, you can say, coins. So what happened? The goods were exchanged and sold or bought for coins, okay. But then what happened? For example, certain countries have copper coins, some of them actually have silver coins. So in order to bring a standardized model and order to reduce the minting of coins by the different countries, what happens is that they actually said, now we need to bring a global standard. That is, there has to be barter or there has to be transaction only in terms of gold. That is, countries, all those countries which actually abound in gold can actually now involve in trade, okay. That is in selling as well as buying. So that is what is that actually resulted in gold or global gold standard. So establishing this, what happens is that, or what happened was that all the European nations, now they want to mine gold. They actually started, reaching out to other countries, especially if you see the Spanish people as well as Portuguese, they actually went right up to Central America where there was the Aztec as well as the Inca civilizations, okay, which actually abound in gold. So they actually started going in search of gold, okay. So now what happened? All the European countries actually had a lot of gold reserves with them and they started transacting in gold, okay. Now what happened? The Second World War, the World War actually broke out. So when the World War actually broke out, what happened here? US actually played a major role, okay, because first one, the growth or the advancement of US was actually high, and then what happened? It actually served as a supplier of weapons, okay, as well as military assistance to all the countries that was actually fighting war. That is, it used to provide to the UK, it actually used to provide to Russia, etc. And they actually got traded for gold. So ultimately what happened? All of them brought and they accumulated their reserves in the United States. So there was a period where United States actually had 90% of reserves of gold with it, okay, in order to because it was actually supplying this weapon as well as assistance. So 90% of the gold reserves was with respect to that of United States. Now, there was a twist in the tale. What happened is that after that, US actually got on to war with Vietnam. So this US-Vietnam war was a decade-long war. Okay, so when it was a decade-long war, what happened? US actually had a depletion or deterioration of all the gold reserves it actually had. So when the US actually abound in gold, what it actually said? Now there will be US dollar and in this US dollar only you are actually supposed to trade. For example, how it happens? For example, let's take $35 is equal to 1 ounce of gold. So if Russia actually wanted $35 from the US, it actually had to give 1 ounce of gold. Okay. So this was what was actually established. When was this established? It was established in 1945 after the establishment of the Bretton Woods Agreement, through which we have the international economic or monetary organizations like the IMF and the World Bank actually came into existence in order to look at these particular transactions. Okay. However, when there was a decade-long war in Vietnam, US had actually lost most of its reserves, and that is where we had the president, Mr. Richard Nixon. He actually said, now your dollars won't be pegged to gold, but it is actually pegged by the market situations, that is the supply as well as the demand. So this is what in history was called as Nixon's shock. Okay, so this is what is the history, and from this actually happened in 1971, and even then what happened, the US dollars was actually preferred as one of the safest currencies, and it actually happens to be the one of the predominant currencies in which the trade transactions are actually happening. So understood this? Having understood, let us actually quickly go through this. The Bretton Woods legacy. So this actually came up in 1944, where US dollar became the global reserve currency pegged to gold. I told you the story. They actually said that if $35 was required, this is just an example, okay? I need to give you 1 ounce of gold. So this was actually happening by the establishment of IMF as well as the World Bank, etc. Now what happened? The gold standard actually got removed. Why? In 1971 by Nixon's shock. But still, what happened is that the dollar retained its dominance in the global trade and finance. Why? Because of the global trust and stability. That is, US is actually considered to be, what to say, one of the most stable political system. They actually say that their economy, their infrastructure, advancements, everything is actually so up to the standard. So people like investors, everybody, they actually want to hold their assets in terms of dollars. Okay. So that is what they have, a rich political system, making the dollar a safe haven currency. Next one, even during the crisis of the 2008 recession, the preferred currency was the dollar for investors as well as the central banks. Okay. Moving on, the next one, if you see the US financial markets, US is actually said to have the largest and most liquid financial markets. What do you mean by liquid financial markets? That is, if I have an asset and I have to actually sell it or buy the asset, I can actually do it without disturbing the economy. And I can do that in the best possible way by converting it only through means of dollars. So this is what it is. It's the largest and the most liquid financial markets in the world. And if you see the New York Stock Exchange, which is nothing but the US Treasury bond market, as well as the Federal Reserve's monetary policies. I told you, right? Federal Reserve is like RBI in India. It brings about monetary policies in order to keep inflation under check. These all create the strong incentives for global entities in order to hold the dollar dominated assets. And also petrodollar system. Since 1970s, if you see, the global oil trade has actually been between India and US and the other countries in terms of dollars only. So this also had, for example, if I actually have to buy dollar from say Russia, okay, so I need to actually give them dollars, right? For that I need to buy dollars from the US. So this actually created a global demand for the US dollar. So this is also one of the reasons. And also you have the SWIFT network. This is nothing but Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. So this is a global messaging network, and that actually enables cross-border payments. Okay. So all the countries which was actually using this particular SWIFT network, since this SWIFT network actually had preference on using the US dollars, all the countries also had to follow that. And also US actually uses this particular dominance of dollars in order to impose economic sanctions on the global community like Iran, Venezuela as well as Russia. That is why these countries actually want to move away from it and want to have a separate currency for their trade transactions.
So Oxford study lauds Pragati system for fast tracking projects, right? So we'll understand about the Pragati initiative, map this under GS paper 2, right? So there's a question on the term good governance. So Pragati system is an example of good governance. Now, what is the context? The Oxford study has reported that Pragati platform has played an instrumental role in ensuring timely completion of the infrastructure projects, and this has led to the economic growth. This is what this study has reported about the Pragati platform. Now, what is the purpose and objective of Pragati? Pragati stands for proactive governance. What? Proactive, that is pro-people governance and timely implementation. What is the purpose? To ensure that all the infrastructure projects, roads, highways are completed within time. To ensure timely implementation of infrastructure projects. Right now, what it does is it connects the central government and state government officials to ensure the coordination and cooperation between the officials so as to ensure timely completion. This was launched in the year 2015. Who launched it? The PMO, the Prime Minister's Office. Now, this office monitors the development of infrastructure projects on day-to-day basis. Support from NIC. Now, National Informatics Center. NIC stands for National Informatics Center. Now, this center has helped to establish digital infrastructure. This NIC, National Informatics Center. Now, what is NIC? This NIC falls under the Ministry of METI, that is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. METI, very important for examination. What it does is it helps our country to become more and more digitalized, which means it sets up the digital infrastructure for our country, right? Now, Pragati, it helps in real-time monitoring and data. For example, the Prime Minister through the Pragati platform can interact both with the central government and the state government officials. The relevant central and the state government officials who are working on a specific project, the Prime Minister can directly interact with these officials. Right? At the same time, this Pragati system helps in providing real-time data and visuals from the ground. This system, it helps to provide real-time data and visuals from the ground so that informed decisions can be taken based on the data available. Then there are three-tier system of operation under the Pragati system. First, we have the Prime Minister's Office. Now, this PMO, it facilitates decision making, right? Then we have the union government secretaries, the state government secretaries, who are the IAS officers, Now these secretaries, right, they will coordinate with each other to ensure implementation of the infrastructure projects. So this is a three-tier system of operation under the Pragati system. Now, what is the objective? Redressal of grievances. Redressal grievances. What do you mean? Complaints. To resolve the complaints. Second, monitoring and implementation. So we have discussed that with the help of real-time data, we monitor the project and ensure timely completion. Right? Significance. It promotes cooperative federalism, which means it ensures that the central government and the state government are coordinating to ensure timely completion. Then it will ensure e-transparency and e-accountability, which means that how it will ensure e-transparency? Through real-time exchange of data. Now, with the help of satellite, we get the real-time data based on which informed decision making can be done. And this is one of the finest example of e-governance, right? Now, what are the key observations of the study? One, Pragati's role in infrastructure development and economic growth. Now, the Oxford study says that this Pragati system has played a stupendous role in about 340 infrastructure projects, the worth of these projects being around 205 billion dollars. It ensured that these 340 infrastructure projects were timely executed. How? By overcoming the bureaucratic delays. It ensured that the central and the state government officials are cooperating. Then, and all this helped the national economy to grow. This also helped the quality of life to enhance. This helped the quality of life. The quality of life of people got better. And this Pragati system also offers a valuable lesson to the countries who are trapped in this middle income basket. Again, enhancing governance through Pragati. How enhancing governance? Again, by exchanging real-time data, which we already have discussed. Now, this has reduced the delays in completion of the project. It streamlined the bureaucratic structure, right? It ensured that the projects are timely completed. It ensures that the economy grows or economy gets a boost. It also ensures that quality of life of people is getting enhanced, right? Now, Pragati's contribution to sustainable development by ensuring that critical services in health, education, and let's say banking, it ensures that Pragati system ensures that the critical services are delivered to people on time, and this can be done with real time Again, real-time data monitoring. Real-time data monitoring. Right? So, all this observation shows that if the government is committed, if the governance is effective, then the long-term growth can be materialized. So this is a beautiful example of e-governance. I hope you understood the third topic as well.
US approves 1.7 billion deal. Okay, so here we'll be discussing about this particular helicopter, that is MH-60R Seahawk helicopter. Okay, so this is nothing but it is a multi-role helicopter. Multi-role helicopter means what? It is actually there for a number of purposes like transportation of weapons, or it can be even for rescue, search and rescue, and for other maritime operations. Okay, so here you need to know about this Seahawk helicopter. Very important for both your prelims as well as the mains examination, specifically under GS paper 3, security challenges and their management in the border areas. Okay, now moving forward, there is a previous year question in the year 2008 with respect to the third system. Okay, so you need to know about what are all the technological advances, the defense that India actually gets into. All this becomes very, very important. Now moving ahead, let us actually see what is the news about. So recently, yesterday, that is yesterday, what happens? The outgoing Biden government. Now Trump will actually assume power, right, as a president from January. So the outgoing government has actually come has come up with a significant defense deal with that of India. What is that? It is nothing but the sale of this particular MH-60R 60R Seahawk helicopter, and here the related supplies, this is actually going to what to say, sum up to around, or the value is around 1.17 billion US dollars. Okay, so this is what it is. The background: India has already procured around 24 MH-60R helicopters already under a previous deal of 2.6 billion dollars. That deal was foreign military sales deal. Okay, so now the new package actually involves 30 MIDs. Let me see, what is it? 30 multifunctional information distribution system, and then it also actually has external fuel tanks, infrared systems, ammunition, as well as data transfer systems. Okay, so this is the recent deal. Now if you see, this is actually the MH-60R Seahawk helicopter. So now let us see, it is an advanced multi-role helicopter. I told you, right, it is a key asset of the US Navy, and also other navies across the world use it, and it has been developed by Sikorsky Aircraft Corporation. So this is actually the helicopter. Now moving forward, let us actually see, this Seahawk actually has, sorry. So the Seahawk, about this particular helicopter, let us actually see. The Seahawk has various versions. Okay, so here of the 7 S-70 family of helicopters, it belongs to S-70 family of helicopters, and also it is involved multi-role. I told you, right, it's a multi-role helicopter, so it is involved in anti-submarine warfare as well as anti-surface warfare. What do you mean by anti-submarine warfare? Military operations to detect, track, neutralize the submarines against underwater threats. And also, what do you mean by anti-surface? This actually, so anti-submarine warfare, and anti-surface warfare, targeting and engaging the surface vessels such as the enemy ships, etc. So that is why it performs a number of roles, including search as well as rescue. Now let's see the key features and capabilities. First one, it is multi-role. It is actually been praised for its versatility, because it actually has the anti-submarine as well as it is an anti-surface operations, right? And also it is used for search and rescue operations. So done. Then it has advanced sensors. It has multi-mode radar systems. It has the sonar systems, etc. And also the electro-optical infrared cameras. It is of course a powerful weaponry, because it has the Hellfire missiles as well as the torpedoes. What do you mean by torpedoes? These are actually self-propellant objects. So this is the weapons. Okay, so these are the torpedoes, and the crew served guns for defense and engagement. Next, it's durable in design, that is it can actually operate even when the environment is very extreme, even when the maritime environment is extreme and not conducive. Next one, operational readiness, is it has high flight readiness rate, which is of 95%. This ensures consistent operational availability. Now moving forward, we need to know what are the advantages for India. First one, it will have enhanced submarine detection, okay, because there are advanced sensors like the sonar as well as the sonar buoys, okay. So these are able to detect the submarines or the enemy submarines, okay. So this is one. Next is India's ability to detect as well as neutralize the submarine threats. So this will actually enable India as a very powerful player in its maritime security, specifically in the Indian Ocean region. Next one, obviously in the Indo-Pacific region where we see the increased presence of the Chinese Navy, it actually gives an opportunity for India in order to face its regional threats as well as the international threats over there, and also to maintain its domain maritime dominance. Okay, now moving forward, also because of this deal, what happens, it's actually deepening the strategic US India partnership. So this is going to deepen the defense ties between both the countries, and also it actually aligns with the security principles that both India and US actually share, specifically in the Indo-Pacific region, so that they actually cater to regional stability, to more security as well as peace in this region.
Caste census. Is the topic important? Yes. You can relate this topic with GS paper 1 Indian society, where this population is clearly mentioned as part of syllabus. When you study population, you study the census, and when you study census, there is one angle, that is of caste census. Also, this part becomes important for your GS paper 2 also, where we discuss about mechanism, law, institutions for our vulnerable population. Okay, look at this previous year question. Has caste lost its relevance in understanding the multicultural Indian society? Elaborate your answer with illustrations. So, has caste lost its relevance? See, when we are conducting caste census, that means it doesn't seem caste has lost its relevance, right? Now, let's see what's exactly happening. In recent times, in last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, continuously we get some voices, especially from opposition parties. They are demanding caste census because since a long time the caste census is not being conducted, and the parties are saying we need a caste census. The calls are coming from opposition party leaders, coming from NGOs, and even recently RSS. This group has also started talking about caste census. Overall, I'm trying to tell you that politically a very debated topic this has become. So caste census is highly important for us to discuss. Now, first of all, please understand what is census. Simply, whenever you have a particular population and you want to study that population, let's say we have India. In India, there is 140 crore population. So if we want to study this 140 CR population, what are we going to study? Let's say we want to know how many male are there, how many female are there, or we want to know how many people are below 25 years of age, how many are 60 above. So when you are studying statistically your population, you're going into those details, then what you need is census. Census is nothing but a comprehensive data which you have collected. So officially, some people from government, they will reach out to the households, families, and they'll get everything written down on a particular document. So for example, they'll check how many people live over here, what they do. All that data will be here. Now, do we have such data? Yes. We conduct census every 10 years. So we say decadal process goes on in India. And this is not for the first time we are doing. This is happening since the British era. So the first such census took place in the year 1872. After that, it took place in 1881. And from 1881 onwards, every 10 years, we see such census taking place. So 1891, then 2001, sorry 1900, then 1921. This is how things were going on. Now the point is, when you look at this census, first question arises, who will conduct this census? Is it central government or state government? The answer is central government. And why central government? Because if you look at the 7th schedule of the constitution, it clearly mentions about census and it is added in the union list entry number 69. That means it is the parliament and it is the central government which will have authority to go ahead with any kind of census. So parliament brought a law. That law is Census Act 1948. And that act specifically provides the power to the executive to conduct this census. So right now, whatever census is being conducted in India, that happens under Ministry of Home Affairs. Under this ministry, we have this particular office called Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. This office is responsible for conducting census throughout the India. Okay, so factually very important point we must know. Okay, now moving ahead, let's talk about caste census. We understood census, that will be having information about demography or information about population. Now when we are getting information about population, if we start adding the data related to caste in it, then it will become caste census. Let's say you're taking information related to age, the sex and other details, for example your economic status, what assets you have. If we start adding caste in it, so caste or subcaste or any such data, then we call it caste census. Now in India, in the year 1931, that is in British time period, this was the last year when we actually conducted a comprehensive caste census. That means in the census, caste details were clearly mentioned. So this was last in 1931. After that, it never happened. So what happened after independence? So from 1951 to 2011, if you look at this time period, Government of India only ensured that SC and ST community data is there in the census. So they conducted caste census, but it was not a complete or comprehensive caste census, a very limited one. Apart from SC and ST, no other data was included in this time period and no other data was published by government. Now, if you look at 2011 caste census, specifically the name is 2011 Socio-Economic Caste Census. In that year, what government did, apart from SC and ST, they also included data related to OBCs. But the interesting point is, government refused to publish this data. They did not publish data related to OBCs. So this is very interesting. And now government is saying, now the stance of government is, we are not going to go ahead with any comprehensive caste census in future. They are saying we'll only include data related to SC and ST and no other data will be included. Now there is a political angle to this, why this is happening. Because when you provide data related to caste in a comprehensive manner, then that angle can influence politics to a great extent. See, in India, you have identity politics. For example, one of your identity is religion, one of your identity is caste, and many people vote on the basis of their identity. So if such a data is provided, then there is a chance that those political parties who get vote in the name of caste, they may get more benefit, political benefit out of it. This was being considered over here. Now, is this caste census important? Although government is not conducting it, we are questioning, is it really important? Should we conduct any caste census? The answer is yes, to some extent, which we will get from our constitution itself. If you read this article 340, it says appointment of a commission to investigate the conditions of backward classes. So constitution is saying that we have to ensure that the backward classes, their condition needs to be investigated, right? And we will investigate, we'll go ahead with some welfare mechanism for them. But that is possible only when you know who are these backward classes. And when you say backward classes, it includes socially backward classes also. So in society, who is backward, who is marginalized. In India, caste system is existing since years, and the caste system many a times decides who will be at margin. So those who are at the lower level of this caste system, or those who are even taken out of it, the untouchables, overall we can call them socially backward, and for them something has to be done. This is what your constitution is saying. That means you have to conduct caste census to get that data at least, right? Then affirmative action programs we have. So you must have read about reservation. So we already had this reservation in the parliament, in the state assembly, for SC and ST. For OBC also some kind of reservation is being introduced. For EWS also some reservation has been introduced in government job, education, etc. Now these are affirmative actions, and these are coming from the constitution itself. So we are saying when we want such actions, affirmative actions or reservations, and we are evaluating these reservations, for that also we require caste related data. Let's say you want to give reservation to a community, for example Maratha community in Maharashtra. But to give that reservation, you will have to prove that that community is very backward. And to prove that, you need to conduct some caste census, some data is required. So here we are saying that these constitutional angles make it important. Then there is a ceiling on reservation brought by Indra Sani case. Indra Sani case judgment says that the reservation should not go beyond 50% of the limit. But there are many state governments who have given reservation more than 50%. Let's say Tamil Nadu or maybe Haryana also. Now, when they are giving such reservation, whether they are doing something good or whether they are going against this principle, if we want to evaluate that, what we want is whatever reservation is provided above 50%, is it given only to the marginalized sections? And how we'll know that? We have to first conduct this caste census. Okay. Then caste as being very important institution. For example, if a person is getting married, first the family members will look for the caste. So the social relations or social life perspective shows that caste angle is very important. And if you want to know who is marginalized in the society, you will have to look for caste and not just his or her economic status. Okay. Now next is administrative imperative. See, when you are looking it from the administration's perspective, administration wants accurate data to come up with a good policies, to come up with good administration. Let's say I want to make a good policy for the marginalized section of India. But if I don't know how many people are marginalized, how will I do that? So if you want data driven policy, evidence based strategy to solve issues, then you need data, right? So you need caste census. Then there is angle of morality, wherein we are saying that if there will not be any kind of caste census which is being taken up, we'll not know who is taking benefits of all these mechanisms which are established. For example, right now we are talking about subcategorization of OBCs. Why? Because it is being said that the reservation which is given to OBCs, let's say OBC or even SC, they are given reservation. But we observed in the SC community itself, there are only one or two or let's say three castes or subcastes who are getting benefit of reservation. All the remaining castes which are part of SC, they are not getting any benefit out of it. And how will we come to know about it? For that again we need data. So morally it is not correct when we are giving reservation to entire SC community. It should go to each and every person, but it is not reaching out. There are some elites in that group who are taking advantage, who are taking benefit, and the distribution which should have been very much equitable. That means everyone should have got that opportunity in equal form. This is not happening. So this is morally incorrect. Okay. Then political imperative. Political means right now we are observing many opposition parties are demanding that there should be caste census. People are arguing they need caste census. So in democracy, we need to do what democratic governance expects us to do, or what democracy, when we say democracy, it is demo or people. What people want, that should come up. So if people want caste census, it should come up in a democratic form, right? So overall, this is why we are saying caste census is important. But now the point is, what are the issues with caste census which is making it very much controversial, very much debatable? Why many people are saying we should not go ahead with caste census, or there are some issues. The first issue is said to be casteization of politics. This term is very important. So if you look at politics in India, if that politics is being shaped completely by the caste, then we call it casteization of politics. That means in politics, what happens? There is a political party who comes up, who goes for election, who tries to get as many votes as possible. So for that, they will bring some kind of ideology. So all this is part of political strategy. But when caste plays a key role in this, we call it casteization of politics. For examples, when a political party will be formed, that party will be focusing only on a particular caste. So it will be a party of a particular caste. Then whatever promises they will make only for their caste only. So they'll not look at issues faced by entire India or all the people of India. So national issues will be sidelined. For example, poverty is a national issue. Unemployment is a national issue. This is faced by everyone. But when casteization is happening in politics, that means political ideology, political strategy, everything will depend on the caste itself. So what will happen after that? After that, there will be another phenomena, that is politicization of caste. So as a result, what political parties will start doing, they will start creating vote banks from caste. So there is a caste group, let's say there is a particular caste, let's say caste 1. A political party will look this caste 1 as a block. They will make some promises to these people who belong to this caste, that we will give you reservation, we'll give you this, and they will consider them as a block, that the entire block will vote for us. So this is how politicization of caste will take place. We'll observe many political parties who showcase that they are only interested in giving benefits to a particular party. So overall, we are saying that the face of politics is completely changing when we conduct caste census. So if you conduct caste census, there will be data available related to caste. These political parties will take this entire data and misuse it for the sake of their own politics. Okay, they'll say we want reservation for this community, we want reservation for this particular caste, and such demands will keep on increasing. Such demands will decide the narrative. Okay, this will happen. Then what additional will happen? Social exclusion might increase. See, there are some people who are already marginalized. They are already not part of the mainstream society. And when you conduct caste census, it shows that exclusion very clearly, and it further increases that divide because it creates a sense of us versus them. It feels like they are different, I am different. And the caste census as data is also showing that these people are very elite, I am very lower, or I'm middle class person or whatever. The caste data will show all this information, wherein different castes will have different status. Okay, then social fragmentation that might happen. So let's say there is one particular caste. In the caste itself, we have subcastes. So sometimes these castes or subcastes fight among each other, and nowadays that fight starts for the sake of reservation. So one community might fight with another, and such conflicts might increase in future as soon as there is a caste census. Right now we do not have caste census, still we have such conflicts. When caste census will come, such conflicts might increase. For example, there is a conflict in Telangana, Malla versus Madiga. Such conflicts might increase, and this is why government is little bit apprehensive about caste census. Then if we talk about constitutional vision, what our constitution actually wanted. Our constitution imagines Indian society as a casteless society, a society where there won't be any caste hierarchy, rather we'll have equality, we'll have social justice. So when you want complete equality, you want that caste should not be having any influence on Indian society. But when you are conducting caste census, you are further exaggerating things or increasing it. So caste will not go away with if you are conducting caste census. This is one of the argument. And at last, there is some methodological problem. It's not very easy to conduct caste census. See, even when Britishers tried to conduct caste census, they did not do it perfectly. Even we are not in a position to do it perfectly, because defining what is caste, defining what is subcaste is very difficult. One caste might seem upper caste in one state and might seem lower caste or middle caste in another state. So the status differs, and it is a very complex task. Sometimes we have seen some particular caste groups, they claim that we do not belong to lower caste, we belong to upper caste, right? And there are some caste who say that we belong to lower caste. They are claiming it. Although when you enumerate, you might say that this is caste A which belongs to an upper caste. Government decided that we will have this list. But later on, people from this caste, they go to government and say we do not belong to upper caste, we are lower caste. Why? Because if we say we are from lower caste, we might get some reservation. So this kind of thing is happening, because of which we are saying that caste census, conducting this caste census is going to be very tough, is going to be a very complex task. Now many of you might be confused, if caste census is not being conducted since a long time, then why do we hear such news wherein some state governments say that they are conducting some kind of a caste census? Well, they are not conducting caste census, they are conducting caste survey. So you must have heard about Bihar, Jharkhand, or many other state governments. They conduct caste survey. It's a survey. Survey means you just go to people and ask about their opinion on something. That is survey. That is not census completely. And they cannot even do this. State government cannot go ahead with caste census because it lies with the central government. We talked about it, right? It is part of union list. So they lack any kind of legal backing to go ahead with caste census. Whatever they do is only a survey. Then we have a report by Parliamentary Standing Committee on Social Justice and Empowerment, which came in the year 2020. The report clearly says that the 2021 census, which was supposed to be conducted, it should include the caste angle. So caste census should be part of this 2021 census. This is what the report said. But interestingly, because we had COVID-19 pandemic, government delayed this process of 2021 census. So it was supposed to be done in 2021, but it was not done. Now later on, COVID-19, we have recovered from COVID-19, but still government has not yet gone ahead with this census. And we don't know when they are actually going to go ahead with it. We are still waiting for any update from government, right? Now, we know all the issues. Let's discuss some solutions or a way forward. What all can be done? First, we can amend the Census Act of 1948. Why do we need to amend it? We said that earlier government was enumerating only SC and ST community in the census. Later on they did it with OBC but did not publish the data. Now government is saying we are not going to include OBC now, only SC ST will be included. This shows that central government is deciding what to do and what not to do whimsically. They are deciding on their own. There is some arbitrariness. And we don't want that government to become arbitrary. Government should be responsible and accountable. So what we need to do is amend this particular act and make this caste enumeration mandatory in the act itself. That means when central government is conducting census, they should include caste angle in this. Okay, this can be first thing. Second, you're seeing that the process is very complex, very complicated, very difficult. What we can do is we can involve some experts, let's say some sociologists, anthropologists. We can take their view. When you are drafting that particular list, we can take help of these experts so that you can properly define these caste, subcaste and all. Then a detailed questionnaire can be developed. For example, if you have a list of different questions, if you ask these questions at local level to people, then you will get to know the exact details about their caste, subcaste, their community in detail. Okay, then you can make use of technology also. For example, you make use of artificial intelligence, you make use of blockchain, through which you can get the details and there will be accuracy. Whatever data comes up, it will be completely accurate if we make use of technology. And at last, we need a nationwide dialogue on this caste census or caste angle. We need that there should be public awareness through which there will be political will which will be generated, and finally we'll see caste census. Because please understand, just because there are some issues, just because some politicians or political parties are going to make some misuse out of it, it is not the right thing to say that we should not have caste census. If we want that good policies should come out, if we want that there is welfare of the marginalized community, for that we need such data, and that data can enhance our capability to go ahead with good governance. So we need caste census. Only thing is we have to ensure that it will not be misused to that extent.
Now, in this article, right, though this article is not important for UPSC examination per se, but given the names that's appearing in the newspaper, we need to focus on the places mentioned in this particular article. But in short, I'll explain you what the conflict is all about, right? So, what is the conflict? Syria. There's a rise of militancy in Syria. Rise of militancy in Syria, which means the government of Bashar al-Assad is threatened because of the Islamic attacks or the rise of militancy in Syria, right? Now, for example, this government of Bashar al-Assad is supported by countries like Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah. For example, in the year 2015, when the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, the ISIS, right, they attacked, or the purpose of ISIS was to destabilize or overthrow the Assad government. But which means the government of Assad was on the brink of fall. But the timely intervention from Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah prevented the fall down of Bashar al-Assad government, right? But now, as Russia is engaged with Ukraine and Iran and Hezbollah are fighting against Israel, so the troops Russia had in Syria and the troops of Iran and Hezbollah, they have withdrawn from Syria. Now, the Islamic militants or the Islamic group, again, you don't have to remember the name, it's an offshoot of Al Qaeda. They want to overthrow Assad government. That is the main objective of the recent attack in Syria. Now, these are some of the important cities that you have to remember. For example, Idlib, Aleppo, Al-Bab, then we have this Afrin. So, I request you to please remember this Hama. So, these are some of the places that you have to remember, or I request you to please make a note of this provinces, because a question has been asked in the year 2015 or 16 about a place in Syria. So, again, as Syria is in the news, a question can be asked with respect to a map or map of Syria in the prelims examination. So, focus on this map, make a note of these provinces and mark it in your atlas book. So, this is the political map of West Asia. So, if you see, this is Iraq, this is Syria, right? So, the northwestern part and northeastern part is in conflict, or there's a rise of militancy in the northwestern and the northeastern part. So time and again Syria has to defend itself from the Islamic militants. Now these Islamic militants are supported by Turkey, and Turkey again is supported by the western countries. And here Syria gets its support from Iran, right? So please focus on the West Asia map, right? So these are the 5 articles of today's DNA. I hope you have understood each and every article, right?